Hey world of AP Gov. This is a quick additional video to the AP video on Unit 4.4, Influence of Political Events and Ideology. The two keywords being events and ideology. In no way does my video replace the AP video, and I don't try to plagiarize them, so please watch them. I'm giving them their credit here. This is just to make things more relevant to the current affairs to help make it stick in your brain. So the video explains where your beliefs come from. So why do you believe what you do? Where do they come from? They just don't come out of the sky, but they start when you're little and they continue your whole life. Obviously from your family as a young child, hearing what they say about politics and different ideologies they have. Then as you go to school and you hear things from your peers and your teachers, the media, whether it be on your phone, the TV, the radio, your whatever religious groups you may belong to, different cultural demographics you belong to. So you just see a little cartoon here of a child getting his ideology from a father jokingly at a young age. So this is about events. How can living through events change political ideologies from the culture as a whole? So for example, the people that lived through the Great Depression received benefits from things like the New Deal, Social Security. They tended to trust their government. Then you have a big event like World War II, and you have a large amount of unity and patriotism as they fought all these things and had different demographics. My grandparents, for example, who lived through World War II, had a strong sense of this. My grandmother thought it was wrong that they made fun of the president on Saturday Night Live, right? Whether she believed in the president's ideology or not. It was that type of patriotic attitude that came out of World War II. In the 1960s, you have Vietnam, you have different types of political and civil rights protests, you have assassinations. That changes how people feel about the government. Then, as you learned as a freshman in 9/11, you have the war on terror, the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they tend to conclude that this made people more skeptical, but I'll show you some other information on that in a minute. Okay, other effects is that this historical events can totally change party realignment. When you heard the recent things in Washington, we hear the election, you often hear the Republican Party call themselves the Party of Lincoln. Well, Lincoln was a Republican. Why did many people switch to Democrats, especially African Americans, from the Republican Party to the Democratic? It was things like the Great Depression and what the government did under Democratic rule at the time. So these events can have a large effect on political ideology. Make sure to go over the key takeaways that the video goes over, right? It's just a little review so you know that events change how people often feel about government. And I want to show you guys an example that, the video claims that 9/11 led to some skepticism, but there's different trends. It doesn't mention Watergate. Watergate increased skepticism, increased mistrust of government, but it actually started to go up after September 11th, immediately after, when we had a big response. Remember Bush standing on the rubble with the firefighters and the bullhorns, like they will hear from us. And then over time, that sort of changed as the years pushed. Make sure you're going over the examples, the test examples in the videos. That's really important. Don't just think I took my notes, I'm done. And it gives you some data, like could this information be presented as data when you take the AP exam? But there's some background information you might want to know. If you don't know, who is the silent generation? Who are boomers? Oftentimes this is confused. People who are real young, Generation Z are often called millennials when they're not, right? So I gave you this little graphic here. So review that if you need to. It's really helpful for this part of the unit, right? And now think, this video was made before 2020, or maybe it was, I don't know. But like, what events are we living through now that may change political ideology in the future? I mean, think about it. In the past year, how has the coronavirus changed our lives, and how might that change our political ideologies, especially with schools closed and not seeing your peers and not learning in person and all these other changes? What about the presidency of Trump and the election and all that we just dealt with, like the Capitol insurrection and impeachment again? This is a big year, and someday they'll be saying this year's events changed people's political ideologies. I want you to think, how might that happen? All right, see you guys.